Oh man, did this episode get to me? All those fake outs it did, I was fooled just about every time. Congrats! I'm not used to that. Because I brand myself, the survivor expert who, while hasn't completely grown up with the show more or less has, and has watched every single minute of the American version now finally. Good job. So rewinding the tape, Green Tribe comes back from their tribal, and Jean is pretty pissed. She does have a right to be. Everyone's trying to soothe her, and then JD has a bit of an eruption, and then hypocritical moments of pointing out for everyone except Ricard. But of course, there's a game that involves a huge sum of money. Of course, there's hypocriticalness. Like, even the winners that we like to say are innocent. Tina, Ethan, I think there's one more good one that I'm forgetting. Not entirely innocent. I'm sure Ethan had to have done something. He's the only one I'm having trouble with. Right. Oh, JT was the other one I was thinking of, duh. Okay. So I didn't really pay too much attention to that. Then we start getting some more camera time with the Blue Tribe finally, and given how Yellow got shafted this episode, I'm like for sure that this is going to be interesting and showing that Blue is going to lose, but I'm like, yeah, finally, we get to see this. I want to see what this tribe is going to do before a mix-up. Because I think it's appropriate that we get to see everyone's head, although it's crazy what's going on with the guys on that tribe, because it seems like Nasir in past episodes, was on the chopping block, but now he seems to be the person that's in good relations with most people. So it's just like, goes to show there's a lot still going on that tribe, but who knows, right? Okay. And then Erica mentioning that she's getting a little bored with them waiting around. I kind of understand that, but at the same time, regardless if you're winning or losing, there's a lot of waiting around on Survivor. That's just how the game is. Because you remember back in Worlds Apart where they showed the unedited footage of Dan insulting Rodney's mother? Everyone is just sitting around doing nothing, super bored. And this is the Blue Collar Tribe, okay? The tribe that seemed to get along well, but because they were around each other for most of the time, they actually caused some deep trouble with each other during the game. Outside of the game, actually, they're fine, it seems, but... Yeah. So you're just running around doing a whole lot of nothing anyway. This is life, okay? Like, you think things happen on an instant? I remember earlier in this pandemic where I was investigating a few job potential situations, none of which worked out for a variety of reasons, but there was a period of a few weeks there where one prospect was getting back to me, giving me bits of information and all that stuff, and then I ended up getting denied the opportunity at pretty much the last time that I could have been cut loose, so to speak. So I know how that feels, but of course I've got creature comforts. She doesn't. Yeah. Moving on from that. How do I think about who's the chick that was that selected the top last episode? I think her name's Sydney. I could be wrong. How do I think about her? I do agree with her overall description of herself, how she's got smarts, athleticism, and beauty working out for her on a technical level, but it's always a unique reason to get rid of somebody. Yes, it does seem similar to other people because Cliff was targeted for being the sports guy and Jeff Kent did everything he could to not be the sports guy because of that, and Gary in Guatemala even though he also tried, to be cover about it. Sure, it's similar stuff, but it's always unique because every person has their own personality, has their own impact on the game. Because, like, everyone knows that Danny's a football player, and yet, as of yet, the issue that he's been a sports player hasn't been brought up, but I don't think that's going to happen to him. It's either going to be, oh, he's too much of a nice guy, hasn't ruffled anyone, we need to get rid of him, or he'll be the person that has no chance of winning this game because he didn't do anything to make an impact. So there's that. That reward challenge, well, it wasn't really much of a challenge, unfortunately, because Heather just could not find the right median between get the ball in the chute, but have it go down the chute slow enough that she can catch up to it. And her being shorter, well, that does kind of help for the overhead ropes, but that doesn't totally work for... It's not really high-kneeing, but some people would call it that, even though people are wailing their feet from side to side, which is kind of normalized if you're trying to hop over a rope. Plus, with some people, height differences can be in multiple places, because I've been told by various people that while I'm a few inches taller than my brother, it appears that all the difference is in my lower half rather than a combination of things. It could happen. Because she got the ball up there quite a lot of times. It's just... it bounces out of the trough, or it lands in the trough, but because she had to use a little bit of oomph to get it up there, it didn't slow down. It's hard to find a median like that. And plus, we don't know how much the ball weighs. So it is kind of comical, but you could see that she was, giving it all her effort, like way more than you would have expected. And there were a couple times where even though she couldn't catch up, she did get like 60% down the thing before the thing exited. She was capable of doing it, I think. It just didn't happen. Right. And when, she feels like that everyone lost because of her, it's reminded me of, when the Beauty Tribe in Cagayan lost the third immunity challenge. They were trying their heart out, it just wasn't their challenge to win. Like, getting over that specific hurdle in that movable puzzle, it's not exactly easy. Right. So I do feel for her, and I really do admire the fact that there was just nothing but positiveness going on there. But it wasn't just the Blue Tribe, it was everybody. So that goes to show that even though it is a cutthroat game, I think when the season is over, at least thus far, many people aren't going to be complaining about each other. That'll be interesting. And I also find it interesting that no one has found the Beware advantage on the Blue Tribe. And again, no regular hidden immunity idol. But I'm not bothered by that, because most people, when they complain about Survivor New Zealand Season 1, a big thing that they say is no idols. I wasn't bothered by that. Right. Then the immunity challenge, well, I could tell based on how the episode had been going that Yellow was going to win it, because we had gotten, like, nothing from them other than the sea turtles and that rather, humorous bit where they do their own previously odd bit. And I love how the producers just did that, because, they're really stripped for airtime these days, can barely cram in anything, but they were able to put in 2 challenges, a little bit of fun for 2 of the tribes, dynamics going on strategically for a 3rd tribe that didn't even go to tribal council, and then a tribal council, because you would have totally thought that Blue was going to lose this immunity challenge, but even when Danny and not Nasir, at least I don't think he was the one that was trying to throw it. I think the other guy was trying to throw it, and yet, for pretty much the entire time, they were the tribe and front on time for the front, basically. Clearly, because Yellow couldn't get it into gear most of the time, and even though they're not going 100%, they just still have enough natural ability that it still didn't work. So it was literally just everything went bad. So, for I believe the third time in the history of the show, a tribe that was trying to throw an immunity challenge failed, because you had Fei Long failed to throw the challenge in China, the last one, and then you had the Cagayan incident, but craziness. Because they did make that challenge really interesting. But even though it looked like that people were getting those ring tosses, JD's made it clear that he was actually the only person on the tribe that seemed to actually be doing decent at it, so that means that the other people had to have rotated a couple of times in there. So Blue, even though there was the perfect execution with the music that would make you think that JD was going to get it, Blue ends up winning the immunity, setting Green to Tribal Council. Oh man, that was just... Talk about a huge fake out. And then having confessionals join a challenge? I think that's like the first time the American version has ever done that. The only other Survivor version that I could think of that ever did confessionals join a challenge was on Survivor Israeli, the first season. I have no clue if they continued it beyond that, because that's the only season that has subtitles, and I don't really remember anything that happened when the sixth season was available, but only like 1/4 of that season had subtitles. Same thing with the second season, except they never finished that, right? Okay. So it is unusual and is a significant departure from how the show typically behaves, but I feel in this situation it was appropriate. Because it's a very odd mixture of, yeah, we won the challenge, yet we lost the challenge, and yet I applaud the people that were trying in this challenge, man. So it's really interesting to see what's going through Danny and the other guys' heads. And I'm a little surprised, and I really wonder if Sydney sitting out the challenge was part of their motivation. I really want to know if she was in on this. Sure, Danny didn't mention it, but they do confessionals after the challenge, and you can tell that every single one of those was done after the challenge. So, that'll be interesting to know if she gets voted out at a time that they remember to ask her, because given how many times how long people can last in this game, something that happened early in the game that'll be good to ask doesn't happen later, because it's no longer relevant. And so I was a little disappointed that Blue didn't go to Tribal Council so we could get that data, but there's still one more opportunity for it to happen, I think, because now I'm starting to think that there actually won't be a mix-up before the merge unless they make it a merge at 10 people, which is possible, but the only way you can do it with free is to have a mix-up, because, okay, given how we've had 5 people voted out, but only 4 challenges. That means that the lowest we could have had for any of these tribes is either a 5-5-3 makeup situation or a 6-5-2 situation. Well, you're not going to want to have a swap with 13 people. I know what you're thinking. Koran, Vanuatu. Koran had someone pulled from the game. They did the swap when they were going to anyway. Vanuatu, well, Old school Survivor just had a habit of doing things like that, having mix-ups with an odd number of people, which was not a good thing. Yeah. So, there's still the opportunity for them to lose, but after next episode, they're gonna have to do something, because now you're in the territory of one tribe potentially could only have one member. Now, granted, that's a heck of a lot of 1 out of 3, 1 out of 3, 1 out of 3, but they still don't want to chance that, right? And before you say Palau, given how they had the double tribal, that took care of that. Right. So with Green doing the dynamics in the tribe, I was thinking initially that they would keep JD and vote out Gene, and I was starting to say the same phrase that I said last week of, well, JD, people understand his unpredictability-ness, so you can have him be something that bothers other people, and Ricard and Shan, I think her name is, can survive for a little longer, but then I realized, but what unpredictability does Gene have? And since Shan has the extra vote again, it makes a lot more sense to do it, especially since if you guys lose again, JD will play the extra vote, so it's 2-2, and then who knows what happens after that. Right. Because there's only 2 possibilities, broadly speaking. Either there's a re-vote, and JD's extra vote is tossed, so it's still 1-1, which results in something crazy unpredictable, or that both of JD's votes are wiped out and Ricard votes JD out. That's it. So I was kind of realizing that while the vote was happening, but I was like, did Jean play her thing? It was clear that she didn't, or at minimum had played the shot at the dark but hadn't succeeded. But then when I saw the first vote for JD, I was like, no, she didn't play it. And fail, no way. But I was still kind of thinking that she would go, but no, they voted out JD, which, again, was surprising because he's a dynamic guy. I thought he was going to be around for a while. Sure, they gave Brad that idea, but we're used to seeing some dynamic people going kinda early in the game. Can't think of the greatest example off the top of my head in a season that's all newbies, but we have seen that. Oh yeah, like Nicaragua, there we go, that's an excellent example. So, I definitely enjoyed this episode when I look at it in hindsight. I didn't think that was the greatest amount when I was watching it, but now I'm like, yeah, this is a great episode. Really looking forward to what happens next. And I know that I spent time talking about virtually everything, but I felt like there was bound to talk about a lot of things this episode. So if you stuck around, thank you. If not, hey, I hope that I entertained you with what I did. Sure, you did listen to, right? Later.